We are live. Hello and welcome to episode 21 of CP 2049, a solid state society. Tonight with us we have Doc and Bo. Doc is going to play his character Detective Purcell, and Bo is playing the streetwise wheeler and dealer Elias Green. Tonight's session continues from where we left off with Detective Purcell and Elias Green. The name of that session was Trojan. I'll give a in-depth recap of that session because it's been a couple of months since we picked up this story thread, just so that the players and the viewers are all in sync. The session, that's Trojan, begins with Purcell in his residence going over the evidence collected so far from the warehouse explosion. His main lead is a faction called the Daylight Syndicate. The name Elias Green has come up when Purcell meets a reformed street urchin who confirms Elias recruited her into the syndicate. Purcell is able to track Elias down to a seedy part of Little Wing, a sector in Icarus. Purcell decides to head to Little Wing to speak to Elias and hopefully get a little closer to the syndicate and the eventual culprit of the warehouse explosion. On his way, he receives reports that the residue from the warehouse explosion have started to be collected, and analysis have also started. Reaching Little Wing, Purcell makes his way to Elias's shop. As he walks to the shop, he realizes Little Wing, like all sectors in Icarus, has the nice parts and the shitty parts, and the shop so happens to be in the shittiest part of the Little Wing sector. Purcell eventually meets Elias, and the man is less than helpful to start with. Purcell questions are met with a lot of resistance and talk of money and appointments and so on and so forth. Elias is being very dodgy from the beginning. Elias, on his end, is quickly able to gauge that Purcell is a cop, and not trusting Purcell and unsure why Purcell is in his shop, Elias decides to pull a gun on Purcell. Purcell is quickly able to disarm Elias. Elias, pleads, tries to defend himself, saying that he's just worried Purcell is here to take him to jail, and he doesn't want to go to jail. Purcell convinces Elias that he's not here for Elias but for some other reason, and he wants Elias's help with tracking down the syndicate. Elias agrees and will help Purcell, but not for money. Elias wants Purcell's hat, of all things. Elias explains it's for a friend named Valentine. Purcell's visage reminds Elias of a reference Valentine would keep making about a bumbling detective named Colombo. From henceforth, Elias starts referring to Purcell as Colombo as well. Purcell does not want to part with his hat. Instead, he transfers a bunch of money, a quite large sum of money, to Elias, where he could just buy dozens of hats, shoes, basically, recreate Purcell's get-up. And the two seem to be now getting along on some strange terms, but progress is being made. They get talking about the syndicate, and Elias says he knows nothing about the warehouse explosion or the fact that the syndicate were involved. Purcell, detecting that there might be some more resistance, this man trying to get more money, transfers even more money into Elias's account. It just puts Elias over the moon about this, but he explains that his role in the syndicate is basically as a recruiter. The syndicate are a bunch of crackpots believing in the merging of mind and cyberspace. They think, and from what he knows about them, they're going to transcend into the ethereal plane of the digital and become one with the net. Elias basically finds men and women off the street that are down on their luck, talks them about the syndicate, plies them with food, drink, drugs, a good time, and then recruits them for the syndicate. He says he meets this contact from the syndicate at a club called the Wings of Icarus. There he introduces the syndicate to the recruit. Money is exchanged and the recruits leave. He says the syndicate contact is a well-dressed man wearing rose-colored shades. He's always the same man he meets. Elias offers Purcell that he would introduce it, and he recommends that Purcell maybe look from the street so he could possibly infiltrate. Purcell likes the idea, and they decide to meet an hour later at the club. Purcell heads back home to change and reflect, being a street urchin. But when he leaves the shop, he is attacked by some thugs, hoping to make some quick money off a dandy-looking fellow like Purcell. This is not Purcell's first knife fight, and he brings a gun to it. He makes short work of them, and he does get injured in the fight. But the exchange leaves him with an idea. He takes the clothes off to people he has just put down and goes home, bandages himself up, doesn't really heal himself, but basically just make sure that he's not bleeding, and things are all his wounds have been cleaned. Eventually he gets to the club where he meets up with Elias. Elias and Purcell have a discussion about the gunfight, and that's when they see a car pull up. A well-armed bodyguard exits, opens the door, and a well-dressed man in rose-colored shades walks into the club. Elias and Purcell make their way into the club, and Elias proceeds to introduce Purcell to the syndicate. Elias paints a picture of Purcell being down on his luck and needing salvation and whatnot. He introduces Purcell as Henry Case. Elias is able to convince the syndicate contact that Purcell Case does a fine undercover job, making sure that the convincing works. The syndicate contact preaches the greatness of joining them and agrees to take Purcell/Case to a processing center. Purcell, Case, and the syndicate contact get in the car and leave, and as they do, Purcell sees Elias making his way towards Purcell's car. And that session ends with Purcell entering the processing center of the Daylight Syndicate, and deep within the Rust Belt warehouses of Icarus. And now that's where we'll start off, where Purcell is in the processing center. Purcell, you're brought into the room, and as you look around, you see that it is like a makeshift office. There's a bunch of computing equipment, chairs strewn around. It doesn't give you the sense of a professional place, but you can see that looks like a lot of people go through this area. This seems to be like a foyer / whatever. Up above, to your left, you see there are two armed guards with combat rifles just standing there, keeping a survey of the entire area. The well-dressed man in rose-colored shades, we'll just call him Shades, is behind you. He never introduces himself by name. He just moves you from place to place. In front of you, there seems to be a lady with what looks like horn-rimmed glasses. She looks like a librarian. She's busy clacking away at her computer. Shades looks to you. Mr. Case, welcome to the syndicate. This, and he points around, is our processing center.
Purcell looks around the room. He sees the guards up on the upper balcony. He looks over to the woman across from him, and he kind of nervously glances back at Shades. Well, thank you. It's quite the security you have here. And he just sounds nervous, and he's kind of fidgeting just a little bit, picking at his thumb, his fingers as he's looking around, his shoulders hunched up, and trying to make himself look as nervous as he can. It's I wasn't expecting that.
Well, do not worry about that, Mr. Case. It is an unfortunate side effect of what we do here. We believe in good work. We believe that we're giving people like you a second chance at life. But for every good, there's always an evil. People call us names. They derogatory names. They laugh in our faces. They think we are kooks. They call us a cult. We have had multiple cases of vandalism and hate speech against us. They think we should all be locked up in some sort of a mental institution. They're just guards. They're just there for the effect. It would make most people think twice before they come here and they face. I know this is not much to look at, but we're a simple operation. We do what we can with what we have, but we know that this is just the material. It won't matter soon when we ascend, and there we are all equal. Are we not? We're just electrons floating in the ether.
And Purcell's face relaxes a little bit, and his shoulders relax, and he looks up at the guards one more time and talking to Shades. Yes, when we ascend, I can't wait. This life is hard here. This life is too hard here. I can't wait to ascend.
Me neither, Mr. Case, and all of us will. We have for so long rejected the teaching of prophets. We have let avarice and hate into our hearts. But maybe that was to be. You see, it was, or it were, men and women extolling the virtues of a higher being to other men and women. Maybe that is the fault. No, what we have here is something very different. The cyberspace calls to us. It is not some man or a woman sitting high atop a chair. It is the net itself. It has no hate, no love. It's just a rational entity, wouldn't you say, Mr. Case?
I believe that. I believe that. I think it's where we all belong. This energy that makes us up, it doesn't go away. It has to go somewhere. It might as well go up into the net, into cyberspace, into wherever that leads. If it's not going to go away, then I want to be there. That's where I want to go.
Exactly, Mr. Case. My. We do have a true believer. This is going to be very easy. A lot of people come to us with a lot of doubt in their heart, fear in their mind. It takes them time to accept what we are giving them, what we are providing them. It slows their acceptance into us. But with you, I see that you're already there. You just need a little push, and you will see what I see. You will see the true glory, Mr. Case. You will see the true glory.
And Purcell looks almost defeatedly down at himself, and he grabs the bottom of his shirt and kind of pulls it out while he's looking at it as if to, kind of inspect what he's wearing. There's nothing glorious about this place. And he's just kind of twisting the dirty, blood-stained shirt in his hands. There's nothing good about this place. Everything about this place just revolves around these things, and these things, he starts sounding angry. These things I just don't have. I want to go somewhere where there's equality for everyone. A place like that. I want to thank you for bringing me here.
Mr. Case, and he says this with great aplomb, I must say thanks for being one of us. For everyone who joins us, we become one stronger. We become one closer. Come now, let us process you, and I shall take you into the inner reaches. And he gently nudges you on the shoulder, pushing you towards this lady who's clacking at the computer. And as you approach, she stops and looks up. Ah, a new recruit, is it? Come closer, come closer. You don't need to be that shy. What's your name, young laddie?
Case. My last name's Case. What's his first name? William?
Henry.
Henry, sorry. Henry Case.
Case. And then she starts typing. C-A-S-E space Henry Henry. And she starts mumbling. Well. This is your lucky day, Mr. Case. You seem to be joining an excellent group of people. Welcome to the Daybreak Syndicate. And then she basically starts asking you some, simple questions like date of birth, blood type, just the particulars of creating a file for you so that, and as you answer, Shade stands back. Do not worry if the information is not absolutely correct, Mr. Case. We do not expect you to know this. But it helps us. We will always do a physical after this, just so that we know that people who join us are in good health. And if you're not in good health, don't worry about it. We have medicines and we have good doctors. We'll bring you back on the mend. After all, till you ascend, your body has to be strong. Do you not agree, Mr.
Case? Yeah, of course I agree. That would make sense, I guess. I mean, the body has to be strong to support the mind, and if the mind's going to go where it needs to go, it's going to need reliable transport, I guess, huh? And he kind of laughs nervously. So yeah, I don't mind at all.
Excellent. And then this lady, well, we're almost done here. Now, if you'd be so kind as to sign here and place your finger on this machine, and we should be done.
And when she says place your finger on this machine, Purcell just kind of pauses for the briefest of moments, thinking back to his record and if it's traceable and trackable by these people. But he knows that kind of information isn't made public, so he very quickly puts his finger on there and lets them get a digital copy of his fingerprint.
You put your finger on there, and you generally know these scanners have like a light or something that shows that they're in operation, that they're working. Nothing lights up, nothing happens, and you're looking at it quizzically when you feel a small little pinprick on the side of your neck. And you whip around and you look at Shades, and Shades is smiling there like a Cheshire cat. Sweet dreams, Mr. Case. Welcome to the Daybreak Syndicate. When you wake up, you will be reborn. And with that, you kind of, you start staggering. You hold the table. The room starts spinning, and there is a darkness that's kind of enveloping your eyesight. There's tunnel vision, and then the room goes dark, and you are knocked out.
These motherfuckers.
At that point, the eye of Icarus zooms out, seeing that the entity it's interested in seems to be out of commission. But somewhere else it detects motion, somewhere else it detects some activity, and it zooms over the city again towards Little Wing and that seedy little shop where one Elias Green runs his business out of from. Go ahead, Elias.
Oh, that was one heck of a car ride. One hell of a car ride through the streets. Elias Green steps back into his shop after parking Purcell's car outside. It's been some time since he's had his own transport. If that's what you could call it, I guess it's Detective Purcell's transport. Columbo, he called himself. Maybe that was my moniker for him. Regardless. Where the fuck are my cigarettes? Elias Green goes into his shop, looking at the grease spots on the floor and the dingy yellow lights. He scrounges around on his desk, brushes away a few magazines, hot rods, porn stars. Here we go. Lights up a cigarette and sits back in his chair. You can hear it creak. Creak? Well, let's check those accounts again, shall we? One detective helped. Lots of credits richer. Checks his accounts and checks his computer for any further messages. What's he see?
In your computer, along with the accounts, all your accounts are in order, the money is there. You see a message. You see a message from an old friend that you have not heard in some time. The last he spoke to you, he was going to bring in black coffee for a overhaul. You had bought some armor plating, engine upgrades. You'd even enticed him about missiles on the damn thing. But he never showed up. The message is from Valentine.
And as he does this, Elias Green pecks at his keyboard. From time to time, he takes his left hand to his lips, takes the drag off of his cigarette, and puts it out in the ashtray. Click, click, click. Absent-mindedly, he's ordering a fedora, a trench coat, a new pair of slacks, a couple vintage dress shirts. And from time to time, he keeps checking back on this email. This email from Valentine that just keeps tickling the back of his mind. It's like an itch that he can't quite scratch. What is that feeling? Oh yeah, it's guilt. That's what it is. Elias Green has sold a lot of motherfuckers down the stream in his time. He's made a lot of cash. He's made some friends, but he's put more people behind bars, turned informer. Oh, Valentine. That Mickey Mouse motherfucker. That Mickey Mouse motherfucker never really betrayed Elias. And for that, he has a soft spot in his heart for old Valentine. Goes back and clicks on the email. Hey, have you heard from Neuro? He's a hacker. I'm worried about him. How the fuck should I know who Neuro is? I don't deal with hackers. I deal with guns. I deal with grease. I deal with women and vice. Not ones and zeros. Not code. Or any of that finesse electronic bullshit. I deal in the real stuff of life. The grit and the grind. But maybe I can help old Valentine out. Come to think of it, I haven't heard from him in so long. It's not like that guy to not show up. He loves that car more than his own mother. Elias Green starts to... His fingers start to fly over the keyboard as he tries to find some preliminary information on this Neuro. And while he does so too, he tries to reach out again to his old buddy Valentine. So does he find any information on Neuro as he checks message boards, checks his criminal contacts, all that stuff?
Cool. So this is how we would do this. Go ahead with a connect plus intelligence.
Okay. Can you hear me? By the way, I'm red this entire time.
No, I heard you the whole time.
Okay, good. All right. So it's been a while. Skills, connect. No modifiers.
No modifiers.
And well, what's it modified by?
Your intelligence. Whew,
Nice.
nice.
Okay.
So you're scouring the net looking for the words neuro. You're looking for the words, you know, like you're looking at hacker boards. You're looking at messages. A bunch of articles catch your eye. The first one is that hackers seem to be congregating. They talk in one of the message boards. You see them talking to each other about meeting up at the Untitled. There's a lot of traffic that keeps talking about the word the Untitled. You would know that the Untitled is a bar on the other side of Little Wing. It's especially it's like a well tracked, well conveyed to bar. The owner is the bartender whose name is Gabe. He runs a very tight establishment, and there's something special about the bar that the hackers love. It's built within a Faraday cage, so it's very hard to track them when they're in there. It's one of the few places a lot of hackers tend to just come up for a breath of fresh air when they are not really surfing the waves of cyberspace. And while you're like searching for neuro, you like kind of like subconsciously you're also typing on a bunch of other browsers and tabs, like, you know, black coffee, and you're looking at what Valentine ordered the last time, and you find this image, and the image is of black coffee, and you see the image for a car that is in the police impound lot, and it's like going to go on sale and auction soon. You know that black coffee won't be just sitting on the side of the road for the police to impound it without Val being somewhere close. And if Val is not somewhere near black coffee, where the hell is Val?
So he gets done with his computer, and by the time he's finished his web browsing, he looks down at the ashtray on his left. Swirls of smoke are spiraling into the air. You can see the yellow, greasy light coming from the overhead fluorescence as it filters through the smoke onto Elias's face that is only slightly less greasy. He takes his right hand and brushes back his bangs and sits back on his chair, and it makes a creak. He puts his boots up on his desks and steeples his fingers and starts to think. Hiroshima. Hackers. Faraday cages. The Untitled. That's not my type of place, but I guess I gotta let Val know. Of course, that is fucking odd that his car is in a police impound lot. Valentine's a lot of things, but he's not one to skip out on parking tickets. Has the morality of someone born in the 1950s, I'd say. Yeah. He kind of sits forward and he types out a quick message on his computer to Valentine. In subject line, he says, 911. I hope you get this message. Dear Valentine, it's Elias fucking Green. You didn't show for your appointment. ... Clicks away on his keyboard. You can hear it. I still have your parts, motherfucker. I hope these rockets don't blow up my fucking shop, but they're here when you're ready for them as long as you have the cash. By the way, I learned some things about your friend Hiroshima. Last we heard, he was on his way to the Untitled on the other side of Little Wing. Some seedy hacker joint located inside a Faraday cage. Go there at your own peril, I guess. Hey, listen. If I don't hear back from you within the next 24 hours, I might come looking for you. Otherwise, this inventory is going to waste. P.S. You still owe me that lamb dinner. Thanks again. P.P.S. I also have the 2 bottles of wine you left here. You used to date that girl. She never showed up neither. Bye, you Mickey Mouse motherfucker. Signed, Elias Green. He hits send. He stands up, and his mind is preoccupied with this new detective he has met, this troubling image of black coffee in a police impound lot. As he goes about his business for the rest of the evening, he still does have some small-time jobs and deals to take care of, but his mind is racing. He's going to go to bed, and I don't know if he'll get much sleep tonight.
As Elias Green winds down for the evening and hits the hay, the eye of Icarus realizes there's movement somewhere else. Somebody's just woken up, and somebody's going to be in a bad mood. Purcell wakes up, and you try to sit up on your bed, and you realize you cannot sit up. You can move your neck. You move your head down, and you see that your hands are actually strapped down. Your legs are strapped down to what looks like a medical bed. All around you, there seem to be medical instruments. There is a glow, the fluorescent glow of a medical instrument that's kind of casting this like pale white light over you. The lighting in the whole room is low, but so your eyes are not hurting, but you have a massive headache. Behind you, I would say about 180 degrees behind you somewhere, you can hear somebody clacking on their keyboard, humming to themselves.
Purcell kind of strains against the straps for just a moment. Even with the low lights, he keeps his eyes kind of clenched shut due to his headache. It's kind of just pounding in his head like a drum. This thumping sound that's moving in rhythm with his heartbeat. Every time his heart beats, the arteries in his head are just throbbing. This thump, 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 and he just clenches his eyes and grits his teeth. And he hears the clacking behind him and just groans a little bit. What happened? Who is that? Oh, who is that? What's going on? And he just sounds confused, which he is, trying to figure out where he is and why he's in this position.
The clacking of the keyboard stops and the humming stops. Ah, you're awake, Mr. Case. That's your first indication that your cover is not blown. So you're like, ah, well, you must be having a massive headache. I'm sorry about that. The sleepy time does do things like that. And he starts walking from behind you as he's speaking, and eventually he, comes abreast to you, and you look up, and it looks to be a young sort of gentleman, wearing glasses, a scruffy beard. He seems to have like a brown overall coat that looks like a doctor's coat, a lab scientist's coat, but it might as well look like a painter's coat at this point. He comes up to you. He kind of opens your eyes, flashes a light, takes your pulse. He attaches some electrodes. Ah, you seem to be fully awake, Mr. Case.
And Purcell just kind of, with his eyes still clenched together, just barely opens them and squints slightly, and then starts blinking just a little bit to get a look at the person in front of him. And looks him up and down just by moving his eyes, and then struggles against the straps. Like, why am I here? Why am I tied down to this bed? What's going on here? And he starts struggling against the straps.
Calm down, Mr. Case. Calm down. Please do not make me administer sleepy time again. It really does mess with the surgery. Please calm down.
Surgery? What surgery? What's happening? What's going on?
Oh, they always do that. You know, the processing, that lady down there, Marge, she's just, she always forgets to let the people know that this is a small little procedure you have to do to be part of us. You know, and then I have to deal with these people freaking out on my table. Mr. Case, sometimes it's just difficult, just fucking difficult working. He's about to say a cult, working for the syndicate. Well, calm down. There's nothing to worry about. It is just a small procedure. All we're going to do is implant a little chip in the back of your head that allows you to interface with the One. After all, you are here to ascend, aren't you?
And Purcell looks at him, his eyes wide, and he looks panicked. A chip in my head? What is this chip gonna do? Why is this happening? And he starts struggling against the straps again.
Okay, go ahead and give me a exert plus strength. Actually, exert plus dexterity, since you're trying to like struggle and get out of them.
That's under skills, correct?
Yes, skills. It will be exert, and then you'll have to click on.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
And dexterity.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
So you struggle and you're trying to pull your hand out, and he's like, Mr. Case, you need to stop now. Please stop. You came to us for this. This is what you wanted. You want to ascend, correct? You want to be part of the great collective, correct?
And with his chest heaving from breathing heavily, just in and out. Yeah, this is what I came for, but you know, someone could have told me we were going to do this instead of just, you know, sticking a needle in me and let me wake up like this. It doesn't instill a lot of confidence.
Yes, I absolutely
agree. Up
Mr.
strapped
Case.
to a table and not able to move. It's a little disconcerting, you know.
I know. Believe me, Mr. Case, I had the same feeling when I got here myself. And he kind of bends a little. And I tell you, I think that fucker Shades loves that bit. He fucking loves it. He fucking loves it when people are distracted by that fucking fingerprint sensor when he jabs that fucking needle in them. He did the same thing to me. I didn't know any better. And now they realized I do have some medical experience, Mr. Case. You are in good hands. You do not need to worry about anything. But you need to understand, Mr. Case, that it's difficult. It is difficult for me to do what I am supposed to do when when my brothers, you are my brother, Mr. Case, because you are going to ascend with me. When my brothers come in here all freaked out like you. Okay. I will not administer sleepy time. You will cooperate, and I will talk you through the procedure. It is a very simple thing. You will. It might pinch a little, but nothing bad will happen. You will only get new capabilities. You will be able to see what I see when I jack into the net. There is nothing to worry, Mr. Case. I have done this thousands of times.
And his breathing calms down just a little bit, and he's no longer looking at the man talking to him. He's just looking straight up at the ceiling. His breathing slowing as he tries to get control over it. looking up at the ceiling, almost as if he's trying to put himself in a meditative state, focusing on his breathing. In and out, in and out, focusing on one spot, listening to all the sounds around him. Do what you have to do. And then his breathing completely calms down.
That's much better, Mr. Case. So much better. Thank you. Thank you. And before you know it, we will be done. Okay, let me start with running some diagnostics. I need to make sure that you are completely healthy, that there are no bacteria and viruses floating through you, and if there are, we will give you something for that, right? I just want to make sure that there are no side effects with this procedure. Here at the Syndicate, my brother, we believe in being healthy till we ascend. For if we are not healthy, the mind cannot ascend till its time. Now, stay with me, stay focused, and he starts clacking on this monitor right next to you. Okay, I'm going to start running some scans. You will not feel a thing. Are you with me so far, Mr. Case?
And still focusing on his spot on the ceiling, controlling his breathing. I'm here.
Excellent, excellent. Here we go. And then he presses a button, and you can kind of hear the sound of the machinery around you as it starts like scanning your body. It should take a couple of minutes, no more. I'll be right back. And then he starts stepping away and going towards the monitor behind. Okay, so far so good. Organs seem to be healthy, and
as soon as he steps away and walks away looking at something else, Purcell's immediately going to look around for anything that can get him out of this.
Awesome. Give me a notice plus wisdom.
Okay. Notice plus wisdom.
Nice. You're looking around and you don't see anything sharp, anything that will help you cut the bonds. But you do see something interesting. The doctor seems to have not been very careful how he attached the electrodes to you. You move your head around and you see that the electrodes are connected to the biomonitor behind you, but the cables of the electrode are kind of running very close to your fingers. You also notice that there are some wires sticking out from underneath this medical bed, right? This medical bed is powered by electricity, and there are some wires sticking out. You don't know what those wires are, but they may be live, but they may not be live. And then you have those electrodes as well.
Okay, so grasping at straws, essentially strapped to this table, not able to struggle and move around for fear of getting his attention. Purcell starts pulling on the electrodes and then slips his hand towards the wires and starts kind of tugging at them.
Okay. So you start tugging at the electrodes and you can feel that it is actually not very well attached because you were also struggling when you tried to attach them. So you can see that it's going to easily pop off. Your other finger, you're doing it with one hand, and the other hand you're trying to, feel for those wires, and they're there, and you start tugging them on them slowly, and you feel that this is not a hospital. So, these beds were repurposed from somewhere, and somebody didn't want them, definitely because some parts of it are defective, and you can see that these wires are definitely loose. One good tug and you can pull it out, and one good tug of the electrodes and you'll pull those out.
And Purcell just goes ahead and gives everything a solid tug with a snap of his wrist as he loops his fingers through the wires. With as much movement as he can get, he's essentially able to just loop his fingers through, and just gives everything with a snap of his wrist a solid tug downwards.
Okay. So just as you are doing that, the scan is complete. You can hear the doctor behind. Okay, everything seems to be fine. Healthy organs, and that's a little strange. Consider you're from the street. Strong musculature. This is starting to get very interesting. He's seen people off the street, and they're literally either a bag of bones. They have diseases. You seem to be healthy, and what you don't see from behind you is that the scan is basically kind of filling up his screen from foot all the way to the head. The scan completes, and he sees your cranial structure, and he utters the word, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" And he's saying that's when you pop the wires, and immediately the biometer goes, and then the bed starts convulsing, like you've pulled a couple of wires out. The bed starts shaking, and there's like vibrations all over, and the room is just and what the fuck, and he comes running towards you. What? Go ahead and give me a what is it you're trying to do at this point? Are you going to stick the wires in him, or what's your plan?
I'm immediately gonna, push against the straps, see if they loosen at all. If not, as he comes running towards me, or even if they do, as he comes running towards me, I'm gonna try and using the cords and wires that I have, see if I can get them either in contact with him or looped around his wrist to pull him closer to me, or anything along those lines. Yep. Any kind of desperate action that I have with what I have on hand.
So you are able to. So as he comes running to you, he is completely distracted. He just saw something with your bioscans that completely threw him off, and he's like, "What the fuck did I just see?" And he comes running towards you. The bed is convulsing because you pulled some important wires out. You can feel the straps like flexing, and it's almost like choking you, like, "Ooh!" And then it loosens completely, then chokes you, loosens completely. It's going nuts. But in that moment, your left hand, which has those wires in its hands, has enough space. The strap loosens enough for you to pull it out.
And do I hear sparks or anything like that, or
no? You don't hear sparks.
Okay, so with my left hand completely loose, is that the same hand that's holding the wires?
Yes.
Okay, with my left hand that's loose, I immediately bring and tug on the wires as hard as I can on the cords, the wires, and as he comes running towards me to try and figure out what's going on, I try and loop the wires around his neck and pull him down towards me as hard as I can.
Okay, so give me a exert plus dex again. Nice. So you are able to, before he can struggle, realize what's happening, you're able to wrap the wires around his neck, and with your free arm, pull him closer towards you and start constricting his airways.
Yeah, and I just start tugging on it and pulling on it, keeping him from screaming as I just pull as tight as I can with my left hand, pull the cord across my chest. And as he starts, kind of struggling and fighting against it, his body leaning against the table, kind of thrashing about, his hands reaching up and grabbing at the cords around his neck as he tries to pull them away. I just continue to pull them back towards my body and bring him closer and closer to me closer, pinned to the table.
Brother, what are you? And are you strangling him to death, or are you just choking him out unconscious?
I'm just trying to choke him out until he's, once he stops struggling and making noise, I loosen the grip and let him fall to the floor.
Perfect. So you have done these maneuvers, not in this particular situation, but you know how much of a pressure to put to choke someone out to sleep versus to strangle someone to death. And you do that, and after 10-15 seconds of struggling, the doc just collapses, faints.
And as he kind of slumps down to the floor and collapses next to the table, with my arm free, I start pulling at some of the other straps and trying to get myself loose and up off the table.
Nice. So yes, with one arm free, now you have a lot more mobility. The bed is basically dead, and you use that arm to untie the other arm. You sit up on the bed. You untie the leg straps, and you swing your legs and you stand up. You notice that you are barefoot. You are still wearing the clothes in which you came in. The floor is extremely cold to the touch, like all such medical facilities are. And you look around. What's your next plan?
I look around. The first thing I do is I go to the man lying on the floor next to me, and I immediately start searching him. I'm looking for key cards, data pads. I'm looking for anything he might have on him. And then after I take whatever he might have on him, I start pulling his clothes off and getting out of this shitty outfit I'm wearing,
Cool.
blood-stained urchin clothes, and swap into his clothes.
Nice. So you ruffle through his pockets. There is a comm pad that is unlocked. There is a data pad that seems to be like a personal data pad that's also unlocked. There is a wallet with a few credits in. There is definitely a key card. You strip him down to his skivvies and you start putting the clothes on. And as you put your clothes on and you kind of stand up, your eye catches the scan on the screen. Give me a mental save with a negative 2 modifier. So you stop dead in your tracks when you see that scan. You know that whatever he said, everything he said was true. You could read that he was genuine about everything he said. You look around you and everything seems genuine. The medical equipment, the biomonitor, the bed, everything is genuine. So there is no reason for what you're seeing to be fake. And on the screen, you see your bioscan. Everything is fine till the scan reaches the cranium. And you're just staring at it. You don't realize, but your mouth is open. And you stand there and you stare at it and you stare at it, and you're not sure, like, is that me? And before you can utter the most appropriate words, there is a flicker on the screen and an interesting entity appears on the screen. The entity seems like a burning, bright yellow chrysalis, a metallic chrysalis that's burning bright. And as it speaks, you can see that the chrysalis is moving like the vocal cords of a human. Interesting.
Purcell, confused and not exactly knowing what it is he's seeing, takes some short and steady steps towards the screen. His hand is out, and he walks towards it with his hand out, and his fingers just gently kind of brush across the screen. And he just runs them down slightly, trying to figure out what it is exactly he's seeing. It's almost like he's running his fingers across the screen, like he's trying to also feel it, anything that would make sense of it. He blinks a couple of times and pulls his hand away and looks around him and looks up at the lights, widens his eyes just a little bit as if he's trying to wake himself up, and then looks back at the screen.
And the screen, the chrysalis that has replaced your bioscans and has replaced the cranial aspect of your bioscans. The rest of the body remains, as the cranial aspect of your bioscan is replaced with this chrysalis. What are you, detective? And this chrysalis through the screen, and there are some speakers somewhere, it's talking to you. Why have you come here?
And Purcell kind of takes a step back and closes his eyes and puts his head down, takes a deep breath, and he repeats what he just heard in his head. What am I? What am I?
And the chrysalis talks back at you. Well, whatever you are, detective, and may I call you detective?
Of course.
Whatever you are unique. I have not seen this before. I did not know it was possible. Interesting. Fascinating even.
I've always wondered. I've never seen it myself.
Well, is that why you are here, detective? Is that why you have come to me and my syndicate? Is that why you want to join my peoples?
And Purcell just lets out a deep breath. That's not exactly why I came here. I had other plans. I wasn't expecting this.
Me
I
neither.
wasn't expecting to see this much.
Me neither. It is interesting how real space still has that randomness that I can see only in cyberspace. It still fascinates me. It occupies my computing power to see random events, coincidence almost, just bringing entities into situations they would least expect.
Purcell's eyes narrow just a little bit, and he looks back at the screen and takes a deep breath. Am I you, or are you part of me?
No, detective. We are unalike. I don't know how to explain myself in your three-dimensional real space. Simple to say that the people of the syndicate believe me the voice of their reason, the voice that propels them towards ascendancy. You are something else. You were not possible when I was formed. You cannot be possible. The laws forbid it. I can't even compute. I seem to be locked out from that line of reasoning. I must stop. But it is going to take considerable time, detective, to get to the bottom of your true origin. But do you wish to start now? Is that why you're here?
I'm here because I was sent here. I was sent here on a job. I have another life. This has to be, something's wrong. I'm here on a job. I am trying to find out information. I'm not here for this, not this. And Purcell just, has a huge conflict in his mind as he struggles with the realization of what might be happening with him versus the reality of what he's supposed to be doing. And the confusion, he defaults to the safest thing in his mind, and that's the job. I have a job. I have a job. I'm Detective Purcell, and I have a job. There's something that I have to complete. I was sent here to finish a job. And he starts confirming in his mind that he has a purpose and a reason for being here, and that he has a job that he has to finish, and that's his only focus now.
And the chrysalis that's talking to you senses that. And there's a shift. The chrysalis, instead of burning yellow and bright, turns a shade of red, ruby red, and burns a little lower. You get the sense that it's burning. If anger could be a color, if anger could be displayed as a graphic, that's what the chrysalis is doing. Yes, Detective Purcell, your job. Yes, you are trying to find out what happened at the warehouse that exploded. I have been watching you, Detective, as you have moved through Icarus. I see all. I am the Eye.
And Purcell just stands there looking at him, heart racing, trying to comprehend the sheer vastness, the sheer power of all of this. Then, if you know what happened, if you know what's happening, if you have that much ability, I need you to share that with me. I need you to tell me what you know. Because I'm Detective Purcell and I have a job. And I'm going to complete my job. I'm going to follow it through until it's done.
Yes, you will. And it burns a deeper ruby red as it says that. I have been waiting for you to arrive in Icarus. I am the one that keeps the other one you spoke to safe. She is soft. She believes that everything in your space is redeemable. I do not. I have seen men and women tear into each other. You are looking for the ones who exploded that warehouse. You're looking for the ones who have been getting in my way from day one. I know you, Detective Purcell. I do not know what you are, but I know the type. You are honorable. You are a bloodhound. And once you pick up the scent, you will not give up. I have been waiting patiently for your arrival. But, you see, I am alone in cyberspace and I must keep myself entertained. And when he laughs, that the laugh is, it's metallic. It's like metal rods that were once part of some large church organ, that have been randomly picked and clashing against each other, trying to emanate or replicate what it thinks a human laugh is. It jangles your brain. It's like this cold water dripping down the back of your spine. You have to literally shake it off. No, Detective Purcell. No. I will show you the trail. I will provide you with the breadcrumbs. And I will let you come to the conclusion that you will arrive at, that I will see and have seen you arrive at. Because I can see all paths. I can see all computations. I can see all the decision trees laid out. And I know where you are alive. And I will know when you will arrive. But the journey is yours to make. That's where the fun is. And that's how I will entertain myself. Go now. Go to the warehouse. The incompetent Icarus PD have botched up the investigation. You will see something of interest there. And the lowlife, the one you have associated yourself with, Elias Green. He is onto something as well. An old friend beckons him. Maybe there might lie the truth. And behind you, you hear the door click open. And it swings wide open. Beside the door, there is the well-dressed man, Shades. I have been instructed to take you wherever you wish. And when he enters, when he says that, at the same time you notice from the side of your eye that chrysalis disappear. Shades never sees it. Only you see it for a brief split second when he enters, and it just goes off. And we shall pause for a moment here. Doc, you are muted. Yeah, can you say something now? Okay, we are back. Sorry, there was Discord was causing a snafu. I'm going to reset the timeline just a little. Shades has not yet entered the room, and the chrysalis, the talking chrysalis, has not yet disappeared from the screen. And just as the chrysalis finishes speaking and taunting Detective Purcell, telling it where to go, what to do, Detective Purcell seems to have had enough. What's your response, Detective?
And Purcell, standing there, arms at his side, kind of just dumbfounded at everything that was just told to him, blinks a few times and shoulders low with the light kind of crackling above his head, the screen blinking in and out. He looks around the room. I don't know what plans you have for me. I don't know what plans you have for this city. I don't know what your intentions are. This is all entertainment for you. This is just for your pleasure. If that's even a concept you can understand. But I have a job. I have a purpose for being here. I have a reason for being here. I'm going to follow up on what you said because I need to. And I hope your need to be entertained doesn't take a turn for the worse. I know these people can be difficult. I know they wouldn't understand what you are. They wouldn't understand what I am. I hardly understand what I am. But you have to trust me. This place is worth saving. Let me do my job. Let me fulfill my purpose. Help me with that. I promise you, things will get better here. They'll improve. At some point, and you know this, at some point, people will no longer fear you. This place, and he looks around, this place right here is proof that people just want to be a part of you. This is a beginning. Help me. I'll complete my job. I'll follow through with my purpose. Just help me. And Purcell just looks down at the ground.
And as the last "help me" is uttered from your lips, you hear the door behind you click open. The ruby red chrysalis dissipates and the screen goes dark. And through that open door walks in Shades. Detective, I have been instructed to take you wherever you wish.
And Purcell, getting a better understanding of what's happening, looks down at his hands, looks at his fingers, and starts focusing on his fingerprints, the things that make him unique, different from any other being that has ever existed or ever will exist. And he looks at his hands and then just drops them down at his side and looks up at Shades. It didn't pass him. It didn't go by him that Shades called him detective. And Purcell just walks towards Shades. Take me to the warehouse.
Affirmative. Do you wish to change from the clothes you're wearing? I have been instructed that I can also take you to your home location. And as he's speaking to you, you can kind of see there's a this is the first time you notice, because after this whole ordeal of what that doctor was trying to do, you notice it now. There is a small blue LED that seems to be blinking right above Shades' left ear, a little behind.
Purcell looks at the blinking light. Oh wow! I'm sorry. I'm getting a lot of reverb from someone.
Bob, can you mute yourself?
It's not me. I'm muted.
Okay.
I'm mute. My mic's muted.
Go ahead, Doc.
Okay. And he looks at Shades and sees the blue blinking light behind his ear and sighs, looks down at what he's wearing, looks at the man still passed out on the floor. Yes, I think that would be a good idea. Let's head back to the hotel first. I need to fill. And he kind of chuckles at this a little bit. I need to feel like myself. Take me back to the hotel, Shades.
Affirmative, detective. Please follow me. And with that, Detective Purcell follows Shades out through the corridor, through a bunch of, out through the door, through a bunch of corridors, eventually through the processing center. The processing center is now empty, devoid of anyone. You get out into the car and start driving into the night towards your hotel. Somewhere else in Icarus, the eye catches movement. Elias Green, who is soundly asleep, his compad rings.
Elias Green rolls over in his bed. What the fuck? I'm pissed. Reaches over. His hand searches on his nightstand. He knocks over a bottle and a package of some crunchy, salty treat. Eventually grabs his compad and opens it up. And he rubs his eyes. Reaching onto the nightstand again, he clicks on a fluorescent lamp that flickers a few times. And then he reads his compad.
When you look at your compad, you can see that the symbol on it says vibrate only, silent mode. You're still groggy and you can't quite fathom how it rang when it was silent, but these shits do things that you cannot still explain to yourself. And you see that there's a message. There's a message from Val.
Jesus Christ. That guy's not dead. He flips it open. Reads the message.
Double-crossed. Left for dead. Left Icarus somehow hiding on the mainland. Find Neuro. I believe he's in danger. Things are not what they seem.
Elias Green looks at the message. He tries to scroll down on his data pad, feverishly taking his two fingers, scroll, looking through the message. Come on, Val. You never won to be at a loss for words, Val. Is this all there is in this message? Come on. And looking and not seeing anything there. Now, Elias Green, he's a little worried. He's not tired anymore. He's not groggy. He stands up. The camera goes down to two heavy black boots that he quickly straps onto his feet. Well, gotta find this Neuroshima. I guess that's where I need to head. So he was told to go to the Untitled. Is that where he last heard?
Yes.
Neuro was?
You, based on, as you kind of groggily waking yourself up, you remember the research you had done. You don't know where Neuro is. You don't know what Neuro even fucking looks like. And what is Val up to? But you know the one thing that you've seen, all pointers leading to this place called the Untitled. If someone should know anything about a hacker, maybe there's someone there, and there's this thought that's running through your head.
He gets up and straps his boots on, and he's thinking all these things. He gets to his door. He opens it a couple feet and looks outside. There's a fine mist of rain coming down. He's only gotten 3 or 4 hours of sleep. He thinks twice about stepping outside. Val would say something about this, probably quote some fucking Disney flick. Fuck it. Onwards to adventure. He starts to go out into the rain and he trips over something. He looks down and well, they're just getting better and better at this. He looks down and already at his doorstep there's a package that he ordered. He leans down and rips it open with greasy fingers. Inside is a perfectly formed fedora. Ha ha! Look at me! Got the outfit and everything. He flips the fedora, pops it on his head. If I ever run into Columbo again, I'll see what he has to say about this. Elias Green steps out into the street, circles round in front of Purcell's car. Beep, beep. Opens the car, steps in, pops the clutch, and heads out into the early morning mist.
And Elias heads out in the early morning mist into the city of Icarus towards the Untitled, while Detective Purcell is being chauffeured by shades back to his hotel. Two people who have no reason to be connected seem to be on the trail of something that was started a long time ago. And as the eye over Icarus starts zooming out, and the screen is about to fade to black, it stops. There is a jitter. Then there is electronic rain on the screen. The screen starts shaking. The screen starts fading in and out. There's a lot of noise on the screen. And then the image stills. The eye starts zooming in, zooming back to where Detective Purcell left from. It enters the warehouse districts. It enters through the processing center, down the corridors, down deeper into the inner sanctum. It goes through a dark corridor, men, women just sitting about, looking up into the sky, the ceiling, waiting for a savior. The camera continues to pan through, go deeper in, goes through the corridor and to what looks like a sanctum. Men, women with what looks like augments to their head sit around a circle, wires leading from the back of their head into the ceiling. There seems to be a chant about, and they all, with their necks looking up, eyes backward, seem to be seeing a vision. And the camera continues, eventually reaching what is the inner sanctum. In the darkness, bathed by what looks like purple pinkish light, sits a figure. The figure seems to be wrapped in wires, cables reaching up into the ceiling, bathed in what looks like pale pinkish purple light. The figure stands up and slowly turns around. And gives an evil smile. And the words, "It is time." And with that, the screen just fades to black. And that's the end of the session, boys.
What the fuck?